Hello, kiddies. It's Terrible Triple Feature time once again, and we're continuing the month of fun. This week we'll be doing the Möbius strip horror films. These are movies that are going along nicely, and then once we get to the end, it loops back around, and so you could just watch the movie over and over and over again, which, I'm not saying I have done that. I'm just saying I'm ready to do that for all three of these movies. And also, there's horrific, gore and blood and nastiness in them. But that's not necessary for the Möbius strip. That's just a bonus for this guy. Our menu includes Dark Country, Lost Highway, and The Attic Expeditions. Dark Country it was a direct-to-video film. It's the directorial debut of Thomas Jane, the probably best known for Hung, but more known to me and my brother as one of the few actors that are versatile enough to play the shark in Jaws. The guy is ridiculous. I think I've talked about him before at length, but he's just wonderful. And now he is trying to branch out into directing, mainly because he probably doesn't get as much fun movies as he would prefer. Dark Country plays a lot like an extended episode of The Twilight Zone or Tales from the Crypt, about a recently married couple, Thomas Jane playing the husband, and Laura Germain from Hostel 2 playing the wife. They are traveling in a deserted highway, and things go very strange when they accidentally run over a guy who seems to be having a bad night of his own. Even more creepy and weird things happen, and through the course of the events, we kind of loop back around into this never-ending nightmare. It was pretty neat. It's a strong directorial debut. It's not the strongest movie, but you can see some real talent there. Thomas Jane put a hell of a lot of work into it. He and his director of photography storyboarded every single scene so that they knew exactly what the movie was going to look like. And they also did so many storyboards so that they could preserve a very graphic novel, comic booky feel to it, which it definitely has, like the old EC style Tales from the Crypt, Revolt of Horror comics. It's just very gruesome and atmospheric and wonderful. And if that's not enough for you, there's Ron Perlman. He's in it too, as this creepy sheriff guy. And come on, it's Ron Perlman. He's always awesome. I don't even have to say anything else. But that movie, it is the order of our films is more straightforward to more incoherent. So Dark Country is definitely the most straightforward film on the list. Next up is Lost Highway by David Lynch, and when David Lynch is not the most incoherent movie on your list, you're in trouble. Lost Highway was the first movie he made after Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me didn't do too well. It stars Bill Pullman as a tenor saxophone player named Fred, who may or may not have killed his incredibly hot wife, Patricia Arquette. Now, halfway through the movie, Fred appears to change into a completely different person, named Pete, played by Balthazar Getty, who has a completely other life that oddly mirrors Fred's. There's scary crime individuals and Patricia Arquette playing a different character this time. It's hard to say what this movie's about. It's I think at its heart it's about identity and not being able to deal with the darker sides of yourself and or the darker sides of the people that you surround yourself with. It's very, very strange. Not just because Robert Blake is apparently playing the devil in kabuki makeup, but more because I like watching this movie, usually with Independence Day, where you have two very, very strange takes on a relationship between Bill Pullman and Robert Loggia. Um, it's fairly gory. There's a lot of like crime grimness in it. It's David Lynch, so it's just beyond weird. Fun facts include Fred and Renee's building in the beginning of the film is actually David Lynch's. I'm not sure if that was his home, but he owns the building and designed all the furniture in it. So if you want to see what he would choose to surround himself with, there you have it. Continuing off of last week's triple feature, we do have a small role for Henry Rollins because, you know, Henry Rollins is always fun to have in like small authoritative roles. Other musical cameos include Marilyn Manson and Twiggy Ramirez from way back in the 90s. And actually, you know, it took me forever to see this movie. I originally was interested in it, not the movie itself, but the soundtrack. If you recall, the single for this was Nine Inch Nails' Perfect Drug, or was it just Trent Reznor? Or is Trent Reznor different from Nine Inch Nails? Aren't they just all the same thing? I used to be a lot more hip. But the soundtrack is absolutely incredible between David Bowie, Trent Reznor, there's some Rammstein on there, Lou Reed, Marilyn Manson. And then it wasn't until Entertainment Weekly put it on their 22 or 25 scariest movies ever list. So I had to watch that because I was working my way through the list. And I got to tell you, Lost Highway is not one of the scariest movies ever made. I mean, it's not even the scariest movie that David Lynch has ever made. So I'm not quite sure what the thinking was there. But I find it very entertaining. It's very of the David Lynch period with Mulholland Drive and Twin Peaks, where it's exposing dual nature or the underside of seemingly normal lives, but with that more supernatural bent, which is, you know, why I wouldn't put it more with Blue Velvet. It's more with Mulholland Drive, which is, you know, God, Mulholland Drive just makes you want to cry. But mercifully, we're not watching that for this triple feature. The big loop around moment is there's the recurring image of the highway, driving down the highway at night. It appears in the beginning of the film, the middle of the film, and the end of the film. This wasn't just a recurring motif. David Lynch designed it so that you could come in at you could start the movie at any one of those parts and continue all the way back around. And so, once again, you can just kind of keep going over and over and over with this movie, and it would never end, which, at least for my brother, would be a living hell. So I try to do that as often as possible. Finally, we have the Attic Expeditions. This movie... Alright, I have absolutely no idea what this movie's about. It's superficially about a guy named... God, what was his name? The actor's name is Andrus Jones, who you might recall as the follically amazing Rick in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. What is this character's name? It will come to me. Andrus Jones's character has seemingly murdered his incredibly hot wife, Faith, and is undergoing brain surgery performed by the one, the only, Jeffrey Combs, playing Dr. Eck. Is Dr. Eck? Drek? And he... as part of, he is accidentally in a coma for 4 months, or for 4 years rather, and eventually wakes up and is put in this halfway house with some crazy people, including Seth Green, in one of his earlier, transition from child and or TV actor to movie actor, which has sort of worked. Um, and seemingly everybody is trying to drive Andros Jones's character insane, and I still can't remember what his name is. God damn it. Trevor! His name is Trevor. Trevor Blackburn. God damn it. It's not easy putting these together straight from memory, okay? Um, it's a lot of fun in the sense that it really captures the crazy. You really don't know what's going on, which puts you very much in the mindset of Trevor Blackburn, played by Andros Jones. And I find it entertaining. It was not released in theaters. It's more like it escaped from the movie makers. Blockbuster distributed it, and I only really got it because Jeffrey Combs was in it. Jeffrey spends most of his time with Ted Raimi, the equally great B actor. But there's just a lot of weirdness in it and a lot of good little performances. Seth Green, as near as I can tell, is doing Jeff Goldblum impression throughout the whole film, and is great. There's this astonishing scene where Seth Green has this 5-minute monologue on paranoia, and it's done all in one take. I'll probably post it today as well, and I find it to be a lot of fun, but I tend to like movies that aren't afraid to go completely off the rails narrative-wise. Our big loop-around moment occurs when Trevor is in the titular attic and finds a chest, a trunk, that somebody is knocking on from the inside. So we'll see. I won't ruin it for you if you find a copy of it on the internet somewhere. But we'll see how that plays out at the end. Like I said, this is the most incoherent film on our list. In the running for most incoherent of all time, or most incoherent movie I've ever seen. Maybe. Then Lost Highway, which is, two stories that are almost coherent by themselves, but when you sandwich them together and loop them together, make absolutely no sense. And Dark Country, which is a fairly straightforward twist at the end, awesome, scary film. And scary throughout the whole thing. And Tom Jane. We always support Tom Jane. So, go out, watch those, and I'll see you next week.